Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the WESG EU-LAN Finals, live from Barcelona, broadcasted here by the Remote B Stream team. My name is Switchblade J. Joining me for today is Mr. Hawker, and we're staying with the UK boys as they go from Norway straight to Sweden to take on GODSENT as they are ready to get into the second match of their best of three, their group stage. Endpoint in a very close game against Norway, and I was saying, I feel like there's a possibility that they could be able to take that particular match away. But up against GODSENT, I'm not gonna lie, my faith in the British boys is a little bit lower than usual, Alex. I have a few reservations about this particular map. This is Overpass, GODSENT. Not really 100% sure on their particular performance on this map, but when it comes down just to their general, yeah, just the general sort of like skill leveling, GODSENT are just on another level but compared to Endpoint, to be honest.
Yeah, and to be fair, I don't think anyone really knows exactly what maps GODSENT are going to be playing, because of course they have recently got in, well, they're currently playing with Hampus and who is it? Pith, sorry, yeah, Pith as the stand-ins. And I don't think they've fully decided on this roster yet. They're just going to try it out here at WESG. I believe they've played 2 games in Pro League or ECS or something like that against Astralis. Didn't go particularly well, but of course this is slightly easier opposition. And interestingly enough here, Twister's gone for the Incendiary and the Flash to start things off. I wonder if GODSENT have something in mind here as to trying to counter a rush from Endpoint, because in the previous game, we saw Endpoint on Inferno just go for that quick rush down Banana. And if that Incendiary stops any sort of aggression and gives the information to GODSENT, that could be good to start things off. So we head underway into the pistol. Twist is towards the B site with the Incendiary, so it will not be used early on as Endpoint make their way out towards A along with the Glocks.
Should we know that GODSENT didn't play during that last match against while Endpoint took on Noreg, so there was an opportunity available for these guys just to kind of study them out. They were watching that match, I imagine, so to play it off against Endpoint, they might have a bit of a game plan going into this one. A 4-on-4s would kick things off. Hampus gets the first kill, but gets traded right back by the likes of Weber. Freddy B trying to challenge out towards mid, and Alex actually does, Weber does get a second kill against him. They storm their way up through, GODSENT trying to set up a backstab, meanwhile towards long. Twist gets his head taken clean off and leaves it all on Disco. Doppelin, the last man here on the A-side defensive alongside Pith, who's rotating in quick, trying to challenge against Alex. Spots him, but can't quite land the head, and GODSENT, well, this is a very curious little pistol round as Alex takes down Pith, leaves it all on Disco. Doppelin, P2K in his hand, could take down this lone player, and he does be able to do so, but meanwhile the push has come through towards the B side. They have got the bomb down, and now Endpoint are just ready to receive. Stanley locking out the crossfire alongside Weber here. Close range spray. They will hear the footsteps out towards the heaven position. Disco Doppelin picking up a flashbang, trying to see if he can work off his dead teammate, but spots out all the players, trying to see if he can do anything. Does get the 2 headshots, and Stanley and Weber very clinical, but unable to do much more than that as Mighty Max gets the final out fragged from the flank. That's going to be pistol to the favour of the boys from Britain.
Yeah, not only does Alex get 2 kills towards A, but more importantly, he just kind of keeps the GODSENT players around that A site for such a long time. And at that point, I think the round was pretty much won. Even though Disco tried his best on the retake, the second shot was very, very nicely taken, but not quite going to be going their way. And so Endpoint should be looking good to take their second round on the board. Of course, they are up against GODSENT, who have gone for the Force Buy. We're going to see Freddy in towards Connector with this Desert Eagle. In the meantime, Disco's pushed towards B short. So got some map control early on with these pistols trying to play up close. It looks like Endpoint might just be lining up the B push, and if they went out through Monster, it should be fairly easy for them to take the site. There's only really Disco Dopplan now back towards the site itself. So it's going to be up to him to hold this off with the UMP. The timing is so awkward, and he gets taken down first. A lot of damage done, but Mighty Max will survive on 5 HP. And with the players having pushed through B short, they're not really going to be in position. So as Endpoint get the bomb down, it should be very easy from this point onwards.
Yeah, a lot of aggression coming through from the CTs means that has left that B site completely open, only to one player. The backstab actually does come through from GODSENT, eventually able to lock out Imi, Twist, and Pith, looking for his next pick on Alex, and indeed they are able to do so. So maybe this retake might not be so far out the woods just yet. Weber does get the first spray onto 2 more players, and Stanley connects Freddy B and Hampus as well to bring 2 kills apiece to the lone 2 players staying alive for Endpoint, but GODSENT got that really, really close to the wire. The defensive wasn't quite there. The retake was almost there as well for the CT side, and I think they'll be happy with the damage that they did to Endpoint in that last one. It has to be bought SMGs for the next round. 2 MAC-10s on Alex and Mighty Max. Weber with the UMP as well. Amy doesn't look like he's getting out anything at all. Maybe saving for that AWP that they brought so sparsely in that last one. So let's see how they go up against the full eco here for GODSENT. I imagine that these MAC-10s will be playing forward to try and rip things together here. They go very, very quick into the B bomb site once again with GODSENT going aggressive into the A push. And now wrapping back up for the retake. No defuse kit, no utility to work with per se, just these basic pistols. This should be a third round on the board for Endpoint.
Couple of damage felt back and forth in towards Heaven. In fact, Stanley taken down very low. In comes the smoke, so he should be able to stay safe with the AK. And of course, he will want to save the one AK on their side of things. Here's the MAC-10 of Mighty Max spraying away, switching to the Glock, gets the second kill. He should finally go down, and indeed he does, but it's only the MAC-10 lost. Stanley did go down there, but the AK will be picked up. So a couple of players lost for Endpoint, but they didn't really lose any important guns. And so heading into round 4, here comes the buy for GODSENT. A little bit disappointing, of course, that Twist isn't going to be able to get that AWP. I think, for the most part, they should probably be trying to play around him as much as possible, because he has been in really, really pretty good form, despite GODSENT playing fairly poorly recently. So it would have been nice to see him get that AWP, but it's not to be the case. Instead, heading into round 4, it's just going to be the full rifles. And look at Endpoint. They are all grouping up around B. This could be a very, very fast round.
Look at the fast aggression coming in from GODSENT. Disco Doppelin flashed his way in through Monster, trying to spot anybody he can, but doesn't quite see Stanley. Eventually sprays his way on through the takedown. Alex as well. Swings around 180 as Piff does fall, but Mighty Max takes him right back out. It doesn't matter, because Hampus is here towards water, taking down 2 players, followed up by Freddy B, who gets down the last player. Very nice from GODSENT. A lot of aggression to come for initially to try and take down the first players out towards the monster area. Very nicely played from Disco Doppelin. Had the backup, and although the first player did fall, we had a second one there as well. GODSENT nicely locking out the B defensive against Endpoint's very, very quick rush into B.
Yeah, and Endpoint, of course, they still have the money for the buy, so I can kind of understand just trying to go for the quick play. If you win the round, you're really going to sort of start to run away with things, and it could also just make GODSENT feel like this is getting out of control. But even when they lose it, they still have enough money for the buy here. And so heading into round 5, it will be a bit more traditional from the T side, playing things fairly safe. In the meantime, Hampus has gone aggressive in towards Fountain. And after spotting out Imi early on, he is going to decide to fall back. Pitt had also pushed up through A long. They're leaving 1 player on the B bomb site. But that might work out for them if GODSENT get the aggression to work out in towards A. You can see Alex holding back from Playground. Not really too much damage dealt though, and GODSENT, after thinking of some aggression, they decide to fall back. And Endpoint themselves will gain connector control, so you can see why they don't really want to get pinched from 2 sides, and we won't see really any action to start the round despite the aggression from GODSENT.
A passive-aggressive stance from Endpoint, trying to find that opening pick against the players that do go aggressive, but it is just Freddy B trying to do anything he can. Stanley takes him down, but survives on 2 HP. Losing the opener here, GODSENT will have to concede the man advantage to the Endpoint side. Passive aggressiveness out towards the Fountain Park side area. Able to gain the opening pick for Endpoint, and they just wait, hold back, and start to prep for this A-site hit. Twist is the main man here. Can take down Stanley easily, but he's got to also lock things out onto Imi and Co as well. Sprays his way on through, looking for Stanley. Finally connects the shot, but serious damage being done. Alex, meanwhile, out from long, eventually executes alongside Mighty Max, who takes down Twist and turns things to a 4-on-2 situation. Hampus and Disco Doppelin late to the rotation will allow the bomb to go down. Hampus desperately clawing for anything he can, but Alex is once again on the flank. 2K for him, the top performer for Endpoint so far today. And Disco Doppelin realizing this is a 1 versus 4, and they will hold back, hold the M4, and concede a 4th back to Team Endpoint. So GODSENT looking down the barrel of a reset. Not a great start here from the Swedish team. I was honestly expecting a much more dominant performance, but Endpoint got the pistol, got the conversions, and now they're working around GODSENT's current line of form. So 4 players staying alive means that this economy is allowed to build. They get things away. I'll be curious to see what GODSENT goes for in the next round, though, because the main line isn't quite sitting great. Disco Doppelin has allowed a bit of an opportunity to force buy around this M4, but $1,400 in the bank after savings from the last round. A force buy could be viable here. Some SMGs could come through, and yeah, they are going to go for it. FAMASA's coming out, upgraded pistols, defuse kit on Disco Doppelin, M4 passed around. And yeah, 2 FAMASAs coming out, so GODSENT will try and force the issue away from Endpoint.
again, it's Endpoint just working with the AKs as we expect on their T side. And of course, back in that earlier game against NoReg, they did manage to get a really good start on their T side there on Inferno. And I think Overpass is sort of somewhat similar in the fact that you can get some damage done in your T side of things. But GODSENT now with this force fight, they really are going to have to win this one. Otherwise, again, they certainly run the risk of going far behind. Although you have to remember also that Endpoint did struggle on their CT side in that previous matchup. So let's see if that is the case here. We'll have to see how this one unfolds, because that nade is going to do a lot of damage early on. Stanley down to half HP. But you can see again, Endpoint just happy to sit back into this setup. I'm sure they're not 100% convinced that it's a full buy from GODSENT here, so they're just playing things safe, making sure they know exactly what's going to come through. Here we go, the aggression in towards Connector doesn't work out. Disco gets that opening pick. In the meantime, though, Twist did go down. That was in towards Connector, and so it is just a 1-for-1 trade early into the round. Make it a second for Disco in towards B-Shore. Finally, the trade's coming back and forth, and Alex is here coming down Connector, trying to overwhelm Pith, and Pith does just get triple peaked almost. That's the B site completely lost, even though the bomb is far behind. Should be good for Endpoint to close this out here.
Well, that being said, it allows a bit of time for GODSENT to rotate their defensive together. They do only put Hampus here. Freddie B holding back on the A site to ensure that the rotation doesn't come through from Endpoint, but fortunately there will not be anything. Actually, Hampus does back his way back away from Graffiti, but Smoke trying to sell this one. Flashbangs over. Still no reason to commit to a B-site defensive. They just got Freddie B holding back here, and Hampus is the main man for the defensive. Up against the T side that is leading the charge here from Mighty Max Weber, getting the bomb down, 13 HP, a 2 versus 3 retake now for GODSENT. Hampus on 100, burning alive out towards jungle, but Freddie B still gets Alex shutting down the first towards short and now looking in for Weber. This is still possible. This is still very, very possible here for GODSENT. But the smoke's going down. The flashbang's trying to ensure they get everything they can. And Weber does peek on and take down at Freddie B. Also getting Hampus as well. 13 HP. Doesn't really matter for him. He'll still get kills. 2k for Weber and Mighty Max. They stay alive with AKs in the round. The force buy from GODSENT doesn't quite win things out, but it does do damage. Problem is they won't be able to capitalize on it now. They're going to have to go for an eco. Endpoint have 2 MAC-10s to play with, so they're going to put Alex and Stanley aggressive, try to see if they can get the money line starting to build back up here for Endpoint. But scoreline still 5-1. A very, very nice start so far from the boys from Britain.
Yeah, and again, I think the issue here for GODSENT, look at Twist. He's only got $1,300 after buying this Desert Eagle. He's not going to be able to get that AWP anywhere near as soon as I would have liked him to. We are going to see Endpoint go out towards mid, and Twist with the D gets one frag, but here comes the MAC-10 spraying away, and Stanley gets himself a couple of kills alongside Imi to help him out. Twist with the D actually, I think, switched up to the USP, but it didn't matter. Stanley himself pushed forwards to find the frag. Oh, sorry, it was Stanley just going in with the USP to get the kill. And elsewhere, Disco will also go down. And GODSENT here, even though they can get a buy, this still really doesn't look like the best of buys. We're just going to see rifles. The utility really isn't great. And I think this GODSENT lineup with Twist as sort of, in my opinion, that star AWPer works best when they have that full buy together. And they're just not getting that at the early stages here.
6-1 is the scoreline, favourable, of course, to Endpoint at the moment. AWP out for Alex. We've got a little bit of money off the back of the MAC-10, but not much. Is Stanley playing big money banks so far, and Endpoint done a very good job at building this economy, and it could be a pattern that repeats itself. You know, if GODSENT actually can, if GODSENT win this round and Endpoint take the round that follows it, that's a reset once again to the GODSENT economy. If they take 3 players as well, then that puts it even better for them. It means nothing to work with for GODSENT, and we've seen them do this once this match. If they can get things into a pattern, then GODSENT may actually concede the upset against the Endpoint team. So far, it's just the M4s coming out, as you said. No AWP or anything special for GODSENT to play with, so it's all down to these rifle angels. It's Freddie B up to challenge first. Weber spots him. Stanley peeks around with a MAC-10, still gets the kill. Hampers with a quick trade back, peeks on through towards Imi, and Alex misses his AWP shot. So Hampers gets himself a 3k. Weber, meanwhile, towards mid, takes down Twist, looking for Hampers as well, trying to trade this man out, and finally, he is able to do so, regrouping with Mighty Max out towards long. They now try to set up the A play. Pith on his way on the rotation. Disco Doppelin will still get aggressive here towards Monster. But for Endpoint, the bottom line is still going to be that A push. 45 seconds left to make them do it. Is Pith the man to defend?
Looks like they are going to come towards the A bomb site. They do have 35 seconds on the Endpoint side of things. Of course, without any real info towards B, that's going to be tricky to be able to go back, especially with Disco pushed up to B short. So it does look likely that Pith is going to have to hold this off, but you can see he is just holding very passively back in towards Bank and making sure Disco can try and get into position. He's pushing up Connector now, and so Endpoint need to go quickly here. You can see Disco coming up through top con, gets that all-important headshot to leave Mighty Max all alone, and there goes Pith, taking him out. Finally, GODSENT are going to get their second round on the board. Again, they did have to rely on the clutch, but Disco was always going to be in a very strong position there after gaining the information. And it does kind of feel like to me that GODSENT, that they are kind of fairly reliant, in my opinion, on Twist and Disco as the two best players. But I also think at this sort of a level, Hampus against a team like Endpoint can also have a very, very good performance. He's played on Passions in the past alongside Brolan, who's also standing in for Fnatic, interestingly enough. And he's looked really good in the online games. So if he can continue that, I think GODSENT could absolutely get pushed over the edge here. But we're still going to have to wait and see if that's the case, as finally Twist gets his first AWP of this map.
It's also been notable about the change in form here from Endpoint. They relied a lot on Alex to lead the charge in that last game against NoReg, but in this one, it's actually Mighty Max and Weber stepping up to the plate. 9 and 10 kills, respectively. Mighty Max, the top fragger of the server at the moment, and Endpoint trying to make their way up and through, trying to see if they can get the aggression on towards this AWP. They do get the trade eventually to try and take mid control, but the next man of the challenge is Freddy B. Can he get these frags? Gets the first, but he gets traded right back, and Endpoint keeping this particular round very competitive. Again, if they can reset GODSENT, they stand to gain a lot more against this CT side. Eventually, Pith will get the trade back on Imi, take things back to a 3-on-2, and actually drop the bomb out towards mid. So, information gathered from GODSENT, not quite sure if he got it. So far, it is just Pith, Hampus, and Disco Doppelin as the last three players left here for GODSENT. Backstabs incoming from Pith as well, out from T-Main. Backed up by Disco Doppelin, who's also getting aggressive, so now they pretty much know that it's probably going to be a mid-site hit. Hampus also gathering a little bit of information. Can't quite get the kills, but now that's Pith also locking things up from the backstab. Takes down Weber, leaves it all on Mighty Max with a bomb on his back, trying to see if he can make his way in with a bomb plant. So GODSENT may still hold a chance in hell in this round. Hampus out towards long. Mighty Max to spot him. Now makes his way in from Bank, trying to push up slowly. Be very careful about the whole situation. Flashbanging his way through. That will give away the information. But he spots out Hampus, takes the headshot, and now needs to plant the bomb now. It's a 1 versus 2. Retake up for the lone player. Fakes it the first time. Can't hear the footsteps, but we'll get flashed out by the likes of Disco Doppelin. Backstabbing coming from Pith. Mighty Max, oh, he looks away at the wrong time. Will he be able to catch off Pith here in bathrooms? He's got little amount of time to work with. Spots him, slow peek, but Pith will still take him down. So GODSENT finally starting to build up some sort of ground to work with him on the CT side, but Endpoint got Bank for days. It looks like it's more than likely that they'll force buy back up in round 10.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I heard that right. That might have been a dink from Mighty Max through the wall there. Either way, it did very little damage to Pith, who stayed safe. And so heading into round 10 again, it is just rifles for both sides. Twist didn't particularly get to do too much with the AWP in the previous, and he will be forced straight back down to the FAMAS. And so this round becomes fairly important at this point. Neither side really has too much money built up. We are going to see Alex go out towards Monster early on. He's not going to go for too much aggression. In the meantime, Twist spotting over the smoke, and Imi nearly loses his life there, down to 36 points of health before the action has even really begun. In the meantime, though, Endpoint are gaining ground elsewhere. They're going to make sure they have Connector, so this allows them to rotate up and down between the A and B sites fairly quickly. However, they still need to make sure they can successfully push towards a site when it comes to it, and that's really been the issue for them in these recent rounds when GODSENT have been holding off. We are going to see Alex go towards B short, but still no real fights to start off this round as Endpoint they're still lining up around the B site, but they also have that connected presence, as I was saying earlier. So nothing guaranteed just yet with a minute left.
Endpoint mostly stacked up towards this B site hit. Giving away a little bit of information, but it will be Pith actually to peek out and take the first. Meanwhile, peeks coming in from the likes of Imi, who takes down one more. Hampus is left still on this site, taking down Alex 1 HP. It leaves it up to Imi and Weber to try and clutch things out. Disco Doppelin held back the toxic barrels, waiting for the peaks to come through. Hampus is still getting very, very aggressive with the flashbang. She still takes one more kill against Weber, and the sprays come through. Can he clutch it out? 20 HP. Hampus gets 2 kills with a single point of health. Very, very nicely done. A 4th round on the board for GODSENT, and now this is looking more like the Swedes that I expected to come into this matchup. may still be able to bring the lead back away from Endpoint. They are still 3 rounds away from doing so, and up against Endpoint now. It looks like they'll be going in for a bit of a pistol half by Deagles. Some armor coming through, but definitely nothing substantial to work with here. Just these upgraded pistols, double flash smoke set up on Weber and Mighty Max for the utility sake of things. GODSENT have 3 AKs, excuse me, in the AWP, of course, out for Twist early on. He'll be playing on a boost spot here towards short. So, yeah, GODSENT looking to lock out a very confident round. It all comes down to how much damage the Endpoint can do, because, again, they've proven themselves to be very, very good at doing damage to this particular team. If they can take down GODSENT 3 players, then that's money that they can take away from the hands of the CT side. Already, however, it will be Twist to take down Mighty Max in the early peak here from B Short.
Yeah, it is of course worth remembering this GODSENT lineup is fairly new, as Disco Doppelplan gets another kill, makes it a second, and here we go, should be very easy at this point. Alex does eventually fall, and GODSENT don't take a single point of damage in the round win. That's always how you like it against the pistols. And so now Endpoint will be back to the bye. Remember, they've struggled in these recent rounds, so we could potentially see some sort of switch up. Maybe an AWP would be a possibility. However, we don't really see Endpoint have an AWPer on the T side that can really make the plays happen. And as I've kind of been saying previously, I think that's the main issue with this team. They just generally go for those 5 AKs, and that can be difficult to get it happening all the time, especially on the T side if you don't get that first pick. We are going to see Twist playing to Connector with the AWP, interestingly enough, but the Molotov will deny him any aggression early on. He's sticking around in towards Connector for a little bit longer than I expected here. He does have the support from B Short, and of course the smoke is up. However, if his teammates lost presence over in towards Fountain, then he could run the risk of being overwhelmed. In the meantime, I think that was Stanley and Connector, I'm not exactly sure where, spamming through the wall to get that opening pick. Didn't quite catch that, but either way, Endpoint get themselves the opening frag, and Freddy will not be happy with that one, but here goes Twist. Just playing aggressive, and he gets the kill, but now he could be in trouble. As I say that, though, Weber falls back, so it will still just be Endpoint holding the man advantage.
And Twist just unable to get these trades. It's Mighty Max next man to enter through to the B side. Twist is able to take down Weber, catching him off as the T side make their way in. Can he quite get this next peak? It doesn't look like he can. As meanwhile, Alex towards the A side takes out Hampus, leaves it all on Twist as the last man left for GODSENT 1v3. And Endpoint, well, very, very interesting way to make their way into another round here, looking like a 7-5 scoreline to the favour of this T-side. Twist still holding back, trying to look for an exit or two, maybe able to find it as well. It's very, very likely the flashbang's coming out. Eventually does spot Mighty Max, but can't land the flick as the AK takes him out. Can he get the AWP? Looks like he will be able to get the AWP. So 7-5, very nice default from Endpoint. Kind of relied a lot on a little bit of luck to get that opening pick, but they were able to find it. I think it was Stanley that actually did wallbang through Connector, through the squeaky door, and I think that was just the player that held back on the at the balcony ready to try and receive any push that would have come through from them, but just not to be here, not right now for Endpoint. The AWP coming out for Imi this time. Twist holding it down all the same out towards long in this particular setup, but look at Endpoint, very quick into this hit. They are going to get pushed away by the Molotovs coming in from GODSENT. Disco Doppelplan popping down one. Kind of Molotov coming back from the T side as they try set up for an early default, but no picks will go to their favor. Actually, they will eventually flash their way on through and go for an early hit, just making their way into the B site. 4 players out towards Monster. It's Piff, Disco, and Hampus to defend. Alex will get the first spray. Hampus next up the challenge, low on HP. Will spray him down. Look for the quick 1-for-1 trade alongside Disco Doppelplan. They're still holding back passive, but now it's all Disco alone. 1v4 alongside Twister rotating. Maybe it was a bomb plant. No. Mighty Max is covering him off, and it leaves it all on Twist for the AWP to save or clutch. Looking likely for a save here.
Twist does get 1 kill at the very least, trying to see if someone over peeks in towards his position, and he nearly gets the chance for a second frag there. At this point, it's probably just too difficult. The nade does do some more damage, but again, not too relevant when he has the AWP. So Mighty Max's triple kill on the B-bomb site will be enough for Endpoint. And I think the really important thing there in that round was that the rotation from GODSENT was so long from A, because they had pushed up in towards A long. They'd gone for some aggression. They were trying to get some information. And so they didn't particularly expect Endpoint to go for such a fast B play. And then you can see Twist was trying to rotate down, but he just couldn't really get into position in time. So again, he's forced to just save the AWP. He's been finding some frags now that he's been picking up the AWP, but it hasn't necessarily led to round wins all the time for GODSENT. And of course, heading into this one, you wouldn't really expect him to be able to get the round win with the AWP, considering his teammates are only going to have pistols. And I think we do have to remember for Godsent, there's still going to be question marks with this team, considering that Pith hasn't really played in a top-level team for quite a while, and this is a somewhat new roster. But this is still somewhat scary here. You'd expect them to be doing pretty well on their CT side when they can just, for the most part, rely on their aim to hold positions. And the slow start could end up costing them here. Either way, Swiss is going to get boosted up to be short, but he's not particularly going to spot anyone out early on, as Endpoint themselves work their way up connector, slowly but surely, clearing every corner to make sure they don't get caught off guard by any of these pistols.
Just pressure applying. Godsent concede. They're very quick to concede as well. It's all just in. Hopefully some of these upgraded pistols do some damage. Hampus peeks on through a takedown. Alex does get the headshot eventually. Stanley, meanwhile, across the map will take down Freddy B. And Hampus trying to do everything he can. It's just not going to happen. Stanley does take him out of the action. So a 4-on-3 does ensue. Quick rotations to come through from Godsent at least. Maybe able to find something from Twist, the AWP, rotating in towards the A site. So keep our eyes on him, see if he can lock out the defensive. He is out towards Dumpster, but the smoke will go down for Dumpster as well. But not a push to come through, not quite yet. Eventually, Stanley will peek up close and Twist will get the first shot, but Jimmy's just quickly there for a shot right back. Piff, next man to challenge, but he's got no armor and a CZ. The bomb should get planted by the hands of Weber. He's just here waiting for Piff to give up anything, give up the game. Alongside Disco Doppling here, starting to peek on through, does give away the position, but Weber shuts him right back. Piff with a nice control CZ burst actually takes him out of the action, so damage being done by Godsent once again with these pistols, but probably not going to be a round victory here. Piff's just going to grab the AWP and run away with it. Had a defuse kit as well. If he had a smoke, then I wouldn't be surprised to see the Ninja defuse try come out, but not to be today. Endpoint looking to lock out a 9th on a T side for Overpass, and this is a very, very good performance from these guys, honestly. Not quite the same sort of like star-studded performance that Alex was bringing to the table, but you can clearly see that Endpoint can hold their own even if Alex is not performing right now. The second bottom fragger in the server, only second to Imi on 5 frags. But 9-5 is the scoreline to the favour of the T side as we go into round 15, the last round of the half. Godsent have a buy up the 4 M4s, the AWP coming in from Twist, and of course Endpoint have the AWP for Imi, the 4 AKs and everybody else. Full sets of utility across the board for the T side. Godsent are limited on their side of things. They have a defuse kit for Pith, but that is all they have, so they have to be very, very careful about where they position him to try and see if they can get that retake if it is required.
Yeah, and I think that's the most impressive thing here for Endpoint, the fact that they haven't really had Alex performing, and yet it's worked out for them. Here comes the push, and Alex this time will get that first entry. He's been going in first fairly often, and there we go. It's Stanley to get himself 2 frags. I thought it was Alex who got the first one, but Stanley steals it away, and again, Godsent cannot hold down the B-bomb site. That's been a bit of an issue for them in a couple of rounds, and looks like here into the last round of the half, that will continue. Of course, Freddy and Twist have to go for the retake. It is the last round, but they can't be liking their chances. No kit, only 1 flash to use. They have spotted out Stanley, and the peek comes in, but the flash is looking good. Stanley doesn't get the kill, but there we go. Mighty Max opens up, and Freddy all by himself is just going to get overwhelmed. They're rushing him down one by one. Endpoint will hunt him down, and Freddy's not going to get anything done. 10-5 to Endpoint at the start of this half, and somewhat surprising that they're so far ahead. We did see them struggle on the CT side in their previous game, but they already have a huge lead here heading into that CT half, so that might not be as much of an issue.
I think it's more of a testament to really Godsent's performance at the moment here. As you were saying at the beginning of the match, there are some questions lingering around this particular team and how, like, well formed they have been over the past couple of months. The departure of the likes of Pronax and Dennis, of course, being put on the bench, is now subbing in for Astralis recently in the last Pro Series. But for these guys, I mean, it's very, very awkward. Like, you just saw it the way that Endpoint just went for the straight-up rush down through the monster position. Usually, if you're a regimented team, you should be ready for something like that, regardless of whether it's pistols or rifles. But in this case, Endpoint just found the first picks, the follow-up picks, and Godsent, although they had positions both, close range, just round the corner from the box, from the wood stack on the monster ramp, and also from the water ramp as well. There was just no defensive coming on through it, and the likes of Stanley and Mighty Max just locked out 3 kills between the 2 players. And then from there, it was a 2 versus 5. There was nothing that GODSENT could have done on that retake. And although they tried, they will fail. So a 10-5 half to the favor of Endpoint. Honestly, I would push to say that this pistol round may be the end of it. If Endpoint can lock it out, then maybe GODSENT may not have enough in the tank to try and push them over the line to try and get the lead back away from them. But we'll go in for the pistol round. It's the double flash and defuse kit set out for Mighty Max, but a lot of aggression are coming through from GODSENT. Have the single flash smoking a P250 passed off to Twist, who will be playing the raid boss for this particular round. GODSENT leaving Hampers back here towards mid, but they're not going to take the aggression out towards long. Try to see if they can set things up for maybe a hit, but options are available. They can rotate to B if necessary.
Yeah, certainly still options for GODSENT, but they should be aware they got that opening dink towards Alex, who is on the A site. However, because Alex got dinked down low, he's decided to call for some rotations, and actually look at the minimap. Stanley is pushed so far.
No way.
They're aware it's an A play right now. They could shut this out if the timing is right, but already Pith gets 2 entries. Where did those kills come from so quickly towards the site? Stanley on the big flank finally comes through for a frag, but it might be a solitary frag because there's only 2 CTs left to attempt the retake. See Weber working his way up. Stanley still in a fairly good position, but it's been planted for Bank. As I say that, Weber only good for the 1 kill, but Stanley is here on the site. Gets the first kill, but he's got 2 more to find. He knows where Freddy is in towards Bank, but he doesn't know Twist position. So in comes the P250 to secure the round win. And finally, GODSENT will be able to get that T-side pistol their way, despite it looking fairly good there. Endpoint just lost those picks way too quickly on the A site to allow the flank to come in.
I would have forgotten to pick up a serious lifeline being brought back in this one. We're not out of the woods just yet, but Endpoint able to lock out a very good 2 versus 4, actually. That was a very, very good flank from the likes of Stanley, and Weber getting that 1 pick allowed Stanley the opportunity to come through. If he got that clutch, though, I would have been, honest to God, impressed with the way Endpoint are playing right now. For the moment, it will just be the second pistol conceded, very similar fashion to the way that last match went against Noreg. Endpoint taking the first pistol and losing the second one. So GODSENT, this could be the momentum builder. This could be the thing that they need to get themselves back into contention in this particular matchup. They're up against the pistols, of course, of Endpoint. 4 CZs out, so a very hard buy into this round, exhausting all that they can. They have left Imi on no armor and just the USP. He's bought himself a bit of smoke, so imagine that Endpoint are also looking for that AWP in the next round, or during the first rifle round, I should be saying. Pith opens things up, taking down Alex and getting the early control towards Connector. 4 versus 5, 2-2 split, a standard passive on both sides. They actually got Mighty Max in the heaven area, actually, but he can rotate quick. GODSENT, all 5 players now stacking away from the default, now looking to make their way into what looks to be a B play.
Yeah, you can see Endpoint having a fair few players towards the B bomb site, as well as those CZs able to hold up close thanks to the smokes. So GODSENT have to be a little worried here. 30 seconds, another smoke is deployed. And there's still one left in the hands of Imi, although he is over towards the A bomb site. However, he's coming down towards B now. Here comes the push. The CZ is close for Stanley. He gets the 1 kill. Could get a bit more, but Hampus is already out. And Hampus makes all the difference with those 2 frags. If Hampus doesn't get those kills there, that could be somewhat scary with those CZs playing so close. But the UMP holds strong, and GODSENT managed to take that B site. Despite having to take some close range fights, the UMP gets the damage out. And so Endpoint will likely just be down to the full eco now. A little bit scary for the Swedes, but they managed to close out their second round on the T side.
Well, say what you want about Endpoint, but you can't deny that they have balls, that's for damn sure. Stanley and Weber, a very nice crossfire out towards Monster. I really like what they do with this one. Endpoint are definitely the big dogs when it comes to this kind of defensive on the eco rounds. For now, they're actually going for a quick stack here with the full eco pistols, trying to see if they can take down players from the T side. Sadly, it's not to be the case. It looks like they will just get ripped apart by the MAC-10s and the AKs. Max does get 1 pick on Hampus, looking for his next man, but yeah, he'll fall and Weber will be the last man standing for Endpoint. But I'm a really big fan of what they tried to do here. They had the 2 CZs on the crossfire. Stanley got aggressive at this moment. They saw the utility coming on through. He tried to take out as many players as he could. It's just a shame that Weber wasn't there to get the support in. And if he was there to support him, if he was able to take down the likes of Hampus, who had that UMP and pushed past Stanley, maybe Stanley could have gotten a few more frags. Weber could have gotten some a decent standing for Endpoint in that 4-sport round. And that would have been a hell of an economy crusher against GODSENT if Endpoint had won that. But, of course, that's an alternate reality. Not to be in this particular case. They are just going to concede the pistol and the conversions to the favor of GODSENT and now set up for the rifle. The AWP coming out from Imi. This is what he was ecoing for. Meanwhile, also for Twist, and actually a lot of aggression coming in from Disco Doppler. I think he caught Weber off on the wall boost, who Mighty Max just kind of boosted him to his death. A 5-on-4 already for GODSENT, the opening pick, and from here it just gets more difficult for Endpoint.
Certainly seems like that will be true. You can see already the rest of GODSENT happy to just play things safe after gaining that opening pick. And Endpoint themselves are going to decide to reply with a little bit of aggression. Alex is working his way up A long. The flash comes in. Alex avoids it, but there comes Hampus. He managed to get back to cover. However, still not going to stay safe as Hampus gets his headshot instead. And so now GODSENT with the two-man lead should be looking good. See Endpoint trying to force a kill. Oh my god, Freddy really gets that kill through the wall bang. It's going to be Pit to clean it up. That was a solid 90 damage done there through that wall. And Mighty Max will also fall on the B site. Imi nearly caught off guard. Might have to try and save the AWP. A very nice first shot to attempt to do so. But still going to be fairly difficult. GODSENT, I'm sure, will be hungry to hunt him down to close the round.
And look at this, getting very aggressive out towards connector. Can Imi hold on to this? Gets the first on Pith, but unable to lock out the next one on Disco Doppler. And he gets a 3k all in all. Not going to recover the AWP, but definitely taking it out of the hands of Endpoint. And 10-9 does ensue, but very nice communication from GODSENT. And we were talking about this, you know, we were saying before, you know, like, there's a lot of questions around this particular team when it comes down to their current state of form, the current chemistry between these between these 5 players. But definitely, if there's anything to talk about, the communication game is definitely on point for GODSENT. Very nicely done. Pith was in connector, called out the position of Stanley, and the spray just came through the wall from the players in Monster. So very, very nicely communicated, very, very nicely entered on through. And once again, Endpoint have a pistol to try and work with. They had a grenade on, I think that was a Mighty Max just a moment ago, but now four smokes out for the other 4 remaining players here as GODSENT try and push players up close. Hampus, first man in to take down Mighty Max alongside Disco Doppler as well. Look at a crossfire on Stanley as well. Imi next round to respond. Can you do anything from here? The answer to that question is no, as Piff comes in and takes down one more player. Very, very nicely executed so far from GODSENT. A 2 versus 5 HP damage done to the likes of Hampus and Disco Doppler, but outside of that, a very unlikely round for them to win. Alex does spot Pith. We can't finish the job. So it's all on Weber. 1v5. Bomb still here towards Monster. Whether they decide to rotate towards A or push towards B, it doesn't really matter. I have a doubt that Weber can hold off all 5 of these players with a CZ and no armor. Not even a kill going the way of Endpoint, as GODSENT really are looking a lot more confident on this T-Cell than they did on CT. 5 rounds, max loss bonus here for Endpoint. 10-10 is the scoreline, and the double orb setup is coming into play. Imi and Weber now. You've shown yourself to be very good players, but can you be the difference maker here for Endpoint?
Yeah, and it is worth pointing out as well, remember, Endpoint had a very poor CT side on the first map of the day. Up against No-Reg, they got a great start in the first half on their T side, and then they struggled to close it out CT. I think they only got 3 rounds there on Inferno, and that's looking like it could be a continuing trend, and it almost seems to me like Endpoint don't have the setup to allow the team to come through, but as I say that, Alex and Weber get themselves 2 opening picks. I believe that was Weber boosted up over towards B short, who got himself that fairly easy frag. So now Endpoint, thanks to those opening picks, should just be able to play things safe. See players pushing towards B short now. Weber's lining up a peek. Wants a little bit more after finding that first pick. He's hungry for a further frag. Does have Mighty Max here to support him as well, but to be honest, the damage looks like it's already done. Endpoint with the 2-man lead surely have to close out their first round on the CT side now.
See what they can do. Pith making some noise. Weber still held back towards short, and we'll find the shot eventually. Bomb making its way quickly in as well. Still got Hampus over on the A site as well, so GODSENT are pretty scattered after losing the core of their force. 5 players left in play for Endpoint. Not a single point of damage done by GODSENT so far. Hampus will start to peek up. Does take down Imi at least. And looking for Alex as well, he just can't seem to do the damage, so it's all on Twist. For the first time, I think this half with a 1v4 clutch. AWP on him, but look at Endpoint. They've gone aggressive. They've left the B site open. Twist's like, well, I'm not going to complain about this. I'm just going to smoke things down, plant the bomb, and get a little bit extra money for my side. Endpoint, what is going on, boys? Now it's a Twist to try and defend against it. It will be a seriously hard graft. He got the bomb plant. Sure, actually damaged on the Mighty Max, but I doubt he'll be able to lock this clutch out. Trying to spot Webbad, has a general idea of where he is, but backstab coming on through. Spots Stanley, takes him down, loses a lot of HP, but eventually the AWP pick comes through and Mighty Max will get the final defuse for Endpoint. Finally scoring their first on the CT side. It's 11-10. Endpoint holding on to their lead against GODSENT, but only by a small thread.
Yeah, for a second there, I was a little bit scared that Endpoint could have thrown that one away. They were kind of peeking one by one into the AWP. You saw Mighty Max take a lot of damage from the flames. But to be fair to Endpoint, I can kind of understand the rotation there. You're not going to expect Twist with the AWP to just be lurking towards B to try and get the bomb plant when you're in a 2v4. Generally, you're going to stick together, but that did not come through. And so now GODSENT, they're not going to have the AWP for Twist. They could have dropped it over to him, but they're just going to stick with the 5 AKs. Of course, the issue here for Endpoint is GODSENT have so much money to work with. They're going to continue to get the buys and continue to pile on the pressure. And if Endpoint wants to continue with these double AWPs themselves, that could be a big issue because their money isn't that built up. We are again going to see Weber peek out to be sure, and there we go. He gets himself the first with the AWP yet again. And GODSENT, they seem to be trying to spread out early on, but these AWPs fairly often now are just finding those opening picks, and GODSENT not really lined up quickly enough for the trade, and so Endpoint get to play from the man advantage again as the B players lined up by GODSENT.
Oh, Stanley, that is amazing. Looking for Twist as the next man. Can he lock out the USP kill? Not quite, but Mighty Max is there for support, and this time they lock out the very aggressive monster defensive Endpoint. Again, you can say what you want, but they got balls. 12-10 now. In a defensive that you wouldn't usually expect, and GODSENT did not expect it whatsoever. Stanley, you man, you amazing man. 20 kills so far, only behind Mighty Max at 21. Endpoint have re-found the spring in their step, and they're forcing GODSENT on the issue. All 5 players staying alive for the CT side means that the economy is now starting to take shape here. They're wearing down a GODSENT of their own accord. $850 on a poorest player Pith, $4,500 for the richest on Freddy B. And GODSENT go into this default to try and find anything that they can, but so far, just information not being gathered, and Endpoint will just hold back passive, expect the push to come through from GODSENT, and indeed, just this default to try and find anything they can, any advantage for GODSENT right now, because they could still be on the edge of conceding this game to the CT side.
Yeah, and remember, this is with Alex having a very underwhelming game. Endpoint has shown that throughout the lineup, they can step up. I was certainly expecting Stanley to be able to be up there with Alex, but Mighty Max has really surprised me. He's been, I'd say, overperforming compared to the level I expected from him. So now GODSENT, yet again, they're just going to spread out to start the round. I don't really like this from GODSENT. They know that their opponents have the double AWPs. They are running the risk of being taken out. You can see Hampus is pushed up towards A-Long by himself. If Imi were to peek in towards him, there is every risk that he could go down first. And finally now, with 40 seconds left, GODSENT are just going to group up for a push towards a site. And Imi with this AWP hasn't particularly been tested towards A so far. So this is a little bit scary for Endpoint. So the push comes in. Can Imi hold this one off with the AWP?
2 players to defend. AWP, Imi peeks on through, takes down Twist. Does he expect the long control? The answer to that question is no. Alex there for a quick trade, a 2 for 1, but now support needs to come in quick. Alex is still here, and Freddy B has absolutely no idea. Weber with the second AWP comes through, picks off one more, leaves it on Pivy, peeks on through from Ultimus, and takes himself a 2K Endpoint. Once again, a nice and solid round. Almost fell to pieces with GODSENT on the pick, and Imi just didn't quite check long, but they were playing for that quick trade. And in this case, GODSENT, I don't even know what was going on. Alex was held back in the corner, and they expected him just to be, I don't even know where they expected him to be, but they looked out towards long, and he got the shot in the back. And just like this, UKCS may be coming right back here. GODSENT with a force buy, looking down the barrel of max loss bonus before overtime, potentially for GODSENT, as they work their way back into the default, trying to see if they can find anything. This time it's Twist to get the opening frag on Mighty Max, peeking out from Monster. So advantage to Endpoint in the early part of round 24.
Yeah, I'm wondering if UKCS is back or if GODSENT are just not on point here. That's the question on everyone's mind, I think. That will, of course, be proven as the rest of the day plays out. But this time, Twist does get that opening with the AWP. Again, he's looked fairly good when he's had the AWP, but hasn't really had too many chances. In the meantime, Weber's boosted up in towards B. He might just get an angle here if Disco peeks out too far. There it is. The boost is beautiful for Endpoint to get that pick straight back. And now they might be ready to shut down the B site. You can see Weber still in position with the AWP. Throws out the incendiary push coming in, but there goes Hampus getting the first. And Weber does find a second on the hole, but he's on just 3 HP. So as he goes down, it's a 2-on-2, quickly turned into a 1-on-2 for Imi to try and follow through to win the round.
Molotov down, grenade on Piff, can't quite finish the job. Over the hedge, he'll toss utility and try to see if he can find anything against this T-side retake. He's got a defuse kit. This is a possible clutch for Imi. Creeping around through to water ramp, looking for Piff, spots him, sprays him, takes him down. Now looking for Freddy B. He'll tap the bomb once, he'll stick it. He'll stick it. Freddy B ain't peeking, and he's going to get the defuse. No! Barely. Freddy B will peek out and take that final kill. And just a split second away for Endpoint to win that round. What a way it would have been to really rob the salt in the wound against GODSENT. Nice try, though. And they will take an 11th round back for this T-side. By the comeback from Endpoint, of course, they have started to dip back into the money line that they had built up initially during that bit of a spurt of life in the last 3 rounds. So AWP coming in from Weber. Imi's got the UMP and actually no armor, so I think that's probably the main weakness here for the CT side, but they are going to play aggressive here, and Alex is going to get out towards long. Try to see if he can take down Hampus. Did he see him? I don't think he did. It's going to be information gathered by the T side, and Hampus does get the opener on Alex, shutting down the aggression, and once again, opening pick will go to the favor of GODSENT.
It's a really weird push from Alex. He didn't particularly have too much support. You can see Imi is the closest player. He's back into long bathrooms. It seems like Alex there just trying to force the issue by himself. It just feels very unnecessary to push out like that, especially in such an important round. Remember, the money on both sides is so poor. The loser of this round is going to be in a really tough spot. So as Alex goes down first, now Imi has a lot to do on the A site hold. You can see slowly but surely GODSENT inching their way forwards. Imi is holding in towards long bathrooms. The UMP not quite taking the fight. Now he will peek out, but Disco Dopplan is there with the AK. And so Weber is going to have to be the hero on the A site with the AWP. Can he hold this off? He's looked great so far with this AWP. He tries a no-scope towards A long, but that's not going to be successful. GODSENT will now push forwards. Weber going to have to hold up close to A long. He's just not ready here. There's so many players pushing forwards. Stanley is on the flank, but it might just be too little too late. Unless Stanley can have a massive round, it looks like Endpoint will likely be losing this one, and you can see Stanley is already falling back from the flank, and Endpoint just get picked off one by one towards the A play.
Now that round just fell apart with Alex, pretty much. We've been saying he's not had the most stellar of games, 11 frags so far in round 25. Second bottom. Only ahead of Imi at the moment here for Team Endpoint. But, again, as you were saying earlier when the early play came through from Endpoint, Alex's peak towards long was just wholly unnecessary in this particular case. And when he peeked up, he was not supported by anybody again. Imi was the man with a UMP, no armor, and held back towards bathrooms. There was just nothing there for him, and you really got to be on point of your game if you want to try and survive a player like that and actually manage to make it work to some sort of advantage for Endpoint. So, not to be from Alex, not to be from Endpoint. It will be a 12th round on the board for GODSENT. And as you were saying again, you know, not a lot of money for the CT side to work with. If they had broken GODSENT, then maybe we could be looking down the end of the game. They did get 2 picks. They do keep the economy modest and do keep them from profiteering too much in this game so far. But it's only those 2 rifles for Endpoint at the moment here for this next round. The rest of them have basic pistols, P250s, P2Ks, and a USP. Early peaks to come through. Try to see if they can find any sort of wall banger damage, anything extra above the CT side, but already they're in a very nice advantage at the moment, just these 2 rifles. And the GODSENT will play a very passive default, but a default that should work nonetheless here for the CT side.
I wouldn't mind seeing Endpoint as well for what it's worth before the next round, taking a timeout, making sure everyone knows what they want to do. Here comes the push out in towards Disco. Dopplan spraying away, but he goes down first. That's going to be an AK that can be recovered, and all of a sudden, 3 rifles. No, it's Stanley who pushes forward, so he just upgrades to the AK, and the rest of the team doesn't get that third rifle picked up. There is still Alex in towards Connector, who could make a difference here with the players pushing out through A shorts. You can actually see Endpoint, they're stacking the A site here. This becomes very, very scary for GODSENT with Alex still in Connector. making sure they can't go back down towards B. Here comes Alex pushing forwards. He does go down, however, there's still plenty of players trying to hold off the A site.
40 seconds left for this push. Stanley pushed out of position. And it comes to Mighty Max and Weber. Weber held back in the corner. Does get Hampus, but quick trades come back, and it's all Weber with a P2K. He just can't do it in this case. Damage done by Endpoint, but not enough to get themselves a victory. But a rifle round will come through from the boys on the CT side. AWP passed around between players. Alex giving it out towards Weber, who has taken this AWP pretty well so far. It's 13-13 right now on the CT side. Are actually going to be in a very good spot in this round. Actually, this will be a very, very crucial round, I think. I'm going to actually have a bit of a prediction and say that this next round, whoever takes it may just take the game right here. Both economies are extremely low on their laurels. GODSENT could force together a force buy, but it won't be strong with the $1,400 of money that they will have after this round here if Endpoint are able to take it. Vice versa for Endpoint, they may be looking down overtime at the very best for them at the moment, because they're not going to be able to force the buy together in round 28. Either way, this one's going to get very, very close to the wire as we are in the home stretch for this map, for this best of one. 13-13 for both sides. Endpoint have the AWP, quite a decent set of utility. For Master on Mighty Max, which is a bit more less than they would have hoped for, but GODSENT, also the same sort of situation. AWP for AK's limited utility. I think they've used quite a lot of it already just to set up this default. But Endpoint this time, no reckless aggression, nothing unnecessary. They're just going to take themselves as much map control as they are really dared to do so and not overextend against the T side.
I think you can feel both teams a little bit nervy. They know how much this round means. We haven't really seen any aggression. No one willing to take an opening fight, and GODSENT trying to call for a pause. Mighty Max has taken 1 point of damage. I'm not sure how this is going to play out right now. 39 seconds left. Damage has been done, but it's only 1 point of damage, and it looks like a PC died. So I think that's fair enough. We are going to get the reset coming through, and this just builds up the tension even more. This just kind of reminds both teams how important this upcoming round is going to be. And
13, they can force the UK buyback again, and they can potentially take us to overtime. That is the key thing at the moment here for Endpoint if they lose this round. So let's see if they can do it. It's the double up set up from Imi and Weber. Weber out towards the B side, Imi in towards A. Quickly just hits coming out from both sides, trying to work up this default. Looks like a very similar default to what GODSENT had before the pause came through. They are just looking to try to see if they can open things up for Endpoint. This will be a crucial opening frag. Again, a very crucial round for both sides. If Endpoint win this round, they stand to gain the whole match because of it. It is a slow amounts of aggression coming in from GODSENT all across the place, trying to gain a pick, gain map control, gain something extra to work above here for the T side. As flashbangs come through, they gain bathroom control. They've got connected control as well. They've got two players here to defend against. Imi will peek back in, spots them both, but only gets the first. As Freddie B gets a quick trade back to a 4-on-4. Alex is alone to try and defend against it. Hearing the players coming in from long, looking out for Pith here from the mid position. We'll see a little bit of utility, but gets caught off guard. Weber next man up, AWP to peek on through, but no scope, can't quite land it. And the rotations from Stanley and Mighty Max will also be on point. Weber still working towards back, trying to see if he can spot out Hampus, but it's still a 3-on-4 situation. Favourable to GODSENT. Not a good spot to be in at the moment if you are Endpoint. Weber desperately looking for Hampus, can't quite see the pixel of his head over from the back position, and Stanley will eventually peek up through, try to see if he can get the spray, can't quite get it. Mighty Max trying to get the trade, picks up the M4, but they're running out of time, only one defuse kit, and eventually Mighty Max will decide to fall back away alongside Weber, save the rifles, and concede GODSENT a 14th.
Yeah, Endpoint there just trying to force their way back to the site, and Weber does get another exit kill there back towards B. But again, it's not going to be too important. It's mainly just trying to save the rifles, and Mighty Max also falls. I think Weber will just about be able to save the AWP, and indeed he does. But look at the money on the Endpoint side. Despite his AWP being saved, the rest of the team are going to have to just go for pistols. It looks like they're not going to commit to the full force, so they are willing to play for overtime if necessary. These CZs could potentially find some positions. I think it's somewhat difficult on Overpass to find too many close spots. Even if you try and play sort of in towards connector, it's fairly easy to just get mollied out. Maybe in towards bathrooms, there are a fair few positions you could play from, but we can already see GODSENT leaning towards B to start things off. Weber's AWP is over towards A, so if they were to go for this push, it could be successful with only a few CZs holding off towards this site. Let's see if these CZs can do anything, because Freddy already opens up. That was the AWP dropped, but Imi will recover it. So just a man disadvantage, and the AWP saved, but Disco pushing B, gets himself 2 picks, and that might be the round done. Disco does go low, but I don't think anything else is going to be happening at this point for the UK team.
2 versus 5. Alex and Imi to save what they can. The AWP of Imi does get one more back on Freddy B, so extra damage done to Godsent, but it's not enough to try and break them here. Not enough to force the issue when it comes down to their final buy, and this will be the final buy for Godsent. 15-13. Match point finally taken by the Swedes. And Endpoint just not in a great, respectable spot in order to try and take this round over. It all just comes down now to the next rifle, to their buy up here. Imi trying to look for more damage, does take down Pith, but won't be able to come up against the likes of Twitch with the AWP. Peeking in from Connector and turning it to the match point for Godsent. Endpoint, max loss bonus, money to work with. Have to buy up now. AWP coming in from Imi. Weber can get a second one if he wants to, but I'll be curious to see if he'll go for the M4 on utility instead. No, he'll go for the second AWP. Light on the head armor from Endpoint, but that is fine as all AKs out from Godsent. And this needs to be a setup, this needs to be a strat, this needs to be some kind of opportunity opening things up here for Endpoint. If they want to take us to overtime, they need 2 rounds or bust. It's Godsent setting things up for a B default.
Weber is still boosted up with the AWP. We've seen him have success here in the past. And Imi is also in Connector, but Weber decides to go off the boost just before the push comes in. So the question is, can the rotate come in time? Can they slow things down? Because there are 2 players in Connector ready to rotate, but Twist already gets the first pick on the push to the site. You can see the players crossing, but Weber does nail 1 kill back into a 4-on-4 for the B play.
Alex gets one more frag. Second one comes up through from short. They're going to have Pith and Freddy B. So just like that, Endpoint, they buy their way back into the round. It's Hampus and Disco, the last 2 left alive. The bomb's been dropped, so they have to commit here. And Weber will take down Hampus for it. It's all Disco Doppelin. 1v4, and he just cannot rise to the occasion. Weber with a 3k, a solid defensive from him, brings Endpoint to overtime point, 15-14. Favorable to Godsent. 1 last buy left for the boys in the Swedish camp.
They still have the money, of course. AWP will be bought up, rifles all across the boards. But Weber himself still has the AWP for the CT side, and he has been so good with that AWP so far, consistently towards B. That's why I feel like the A site should be slightly weaker. We saw there the one time they did go for the push, it was very heavily up to Alex to hold it off after Imi only got the 1 frag. And you can see yet again Endpoint with 2 players in Connector. This is such a huge risk here. Look at how open A is on the map. The flash already coming through and the players in Connector will hold off. It's Alex to nail the first headshot in such an important round.
Yeah, they sacrifice that A site control to try and go for Connector control, and in this case, it works out in troves. And the AWP from Imi peeks on through towards Hampers, looks for Twist as well, spots him, but the AWP gets the leg shot instead. And Imi stays alive for a couple extra moments here. It is a 3-on-5 situation. Disco Doppelin does get a trade out towards Connector, taking down Imi. The bomb's still yet to commit right here, and they still have a man advantage to the favor of Endpoint. A minute still left to go. And Freddy B is leading the charge here on the A site, spots out Alex. Oh, but does Alex spot him? I don't think he does. He does, but he peeks out anyway. And Freddy B takes him down, looking for Mighty Max as the next man here. Counter smokes go through, and Mighty Max tries to see if he can gain control of the situation. Does spray through and leave it up to Disco, Doppelin, and Twist. Bomb still not spotted, but Mighty Max is. And down to a 2 versus 2. Weber and Stanley. You need to shop right here, right now. Weber does get a cross on Disco, and it leaves it all on Twist. With an AWP and a dream, backing his way off the bathroom is very smart. Leaving that site alone, Stanley's going to hear it. They don't have a smoke, so they cannot ninja defuse this. They need to get this frag on Twist, and he is just peeking up close and personal, trying to get something. Molotov will force him away from the bathroom's area. He peeks on through Stanley. He's going to stick this. Spotted. Twist takes him down. It's all on Weber. He's got to go aggressive. Molotov forcing out the other side, but Twist gets the shot anyway, and Godsent will barely cinch this round, this map, 16-14 after a very valiant effort from the CT side, from the British boys. It just wasn't enough today.